بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وأنف الله. Alhamdulillah, let's get started right away. Alhamdulillah. Okay, we reached this page here. We're still looking at the difference between the two pronouns. This is the purpose of this exercise. That there are pronouns that's connected to the conjugation of fi'l madi, and those pronouns are connected to the fa'il, the doer of that verb that's being conjugated. Sami'tu, I heard. Sami'tum, you all heard. Sami'a, that other means the both of them heard. Sami'u, that wow is the fa'il that they heard. It's the one that heard. Those pronouns that are being conjugated, it's the fa'il, the doer of that same verb that's being conjugated. Are you all with me? As far as in istilah and the terminology of that, you call it the fa'il. Fa'ala means do, and the fa'il is the doer. Fa'ala means to do something. Mada fa'alta, what did you do? The fa'il is the doer. Okay. Now, in addition to the pronoun that gets the damir muttasil, in addition to the pronoun that gets barakallahu fikum conjugated, there's another damir muttasil, that's the maf'ulin bi. Okay. Barakallahu fikum. And now it gets also attached to it. Okay. So let's look at these examples. I want you to know, and it's going to come later, but it's not going to come later. It's not going to come later, but the topic just may come up. That the pronouns that we know, ana, wa nahnu, wa huwa, wa hiya, those are all have to do with the one doing the action. There are another pronouns that you only write if it's the maf'ulin bi, and they are like these. If you ever see these, okay, these are pronouns damir munfasil, they cannot be attached. Iyaya, I mean something was done to me. You know, like we say, Iyaka na'budu. But na'budu, that's fi'l mudari. It shows that we are worshiping Iyaka. So you could say na'buduka, or Iyaka na'budu. You could say na'buduka, or Iyaka na'budu. All those iyaya, wa iyakum, wa iyaha, wa iyahum, all of those are the damir munfasil, but it's mansub, I mean it's the maf'ulin bi, or that which is in that place. Okay. Now, I'm just bringing that up because sometimes you might not use the damir munfasil. You might choose to use the damir munfasil. If I see an example, I will mention it while we're doing these examples here. Okay, if I see an example, I will mention it. Like, look at this sentence here before we go. What if I said, A'taytu, I gave Zaid. A'taytu, I'm sorry. A'taytu Zaidan. A'taytu, I'm sorry. Zaidan al-kitab. Na'am. Al-kitab. Are y'all with me? A'taytu Zaidan al-kitab. Everything is clear, right? So what if we already know about the book that we're talking about? So instead of saying the book, I'm sorry, instead of saying the book, I could say Ataitu Zaydan Iyahu. I gave Zayd it. Ataitu Zaydan Iyahu. You can't say who. Ataitu Zaydan who. You can't put who next to Zayd. Zaydan who. It has to be a damir munfasil. It has to be munfasil. Excuse me. Okay. Bismillah. Okay, what if I don't want to use the word Zayd? Okay. What if I don't want to use Zayd? So I can say A'taytuhu iyahu. I gave him it. A'taytuhu iyahu. I can't say A'taytuhu who. I can't say A'taytuhu ka. I can't say A'taytuhu ha. A'taytuhu ha. I have to say A'taytuhu iyaha. A'taytuhu iyahu. You are with me. I can't say I gave him it. I say A'taytuhu who. But all of that is going to come, inshallah. Not necessarily in my book, because I don't have a chapter for that, but meaning in Arabic, you will see it. But I want you to know that there's a damir munfasil just for the maf'ulin bi. And when you use it, when you can't use the muttasil, when it's not suitable to use the muttasil, you use al munfasil. Do we understand that much? When it's not possible to use al muttasil, then you use the munfasil. They have a statement in Arabic, if I remember correctly. I'm just going to write it. You know, pardon my cough. If you don't understand it totally, it's just a starter. La yajuz al-fasl ma'a. And y'all write this down. You'll say it later. Can al-wasl. Oh, that's supposed to be fasl. La yajuz al-fasl ma'imkan al-wasl. What does that mean? You cannot use the damir munfasil when you have the opportunity to use the damir al-muttasil. And this has to do with iyahu iyaha. So I can't say ataytu iyahu. I have to say ataytu who. I can't say ataytu iyahu. I have to say ataytu who. You can't use the damir munfasil and you have the opportunity to use al-wasl al-muttasil. Al-wasl means muttasil. Ma yajuz al-fasl ma'a imkan, with the opportunity, with the ability to use al-muttasil. If you could use the muttasil, you have to use it. You can't use al-munfasil. So you can't say, مثلا, you have to say darabtu who, darabtu ka. You can't say darabtu iyaka. No, darabtu ka. Naam. Right, let's do this chapter here and let's move on with our class. يا عباس هل سمعت المحاضرة البارحة؟ هل سمعت المحاضرة البارحة? So when he says نعم أنا سمعتها, سمعت is going to be the fa'il and the ha is going to be for the muhadara, which is going to be the maf'ulun bi. نعم أنا سمعتها. نعم أنا سمعتها. نعم. I heard it. Everything's clear here, yeah, ikhwa? Okay, let's move on. We're going to read these together. هل درس أخوك اللغة العربية؟ نعم هو درسها. نعم هو درسها. Where is the verb? Who's doing this darasa? Where's the fa'il? It is the pronoun that's inside of darasa. It's the pronoun huwa that's inside darasa. That's the fa'il. The pronoun huwa that's inside darasa. Because remember, the fa'il cannot come before the verb. You cannot say huwa is the fa'il. The fa'il cannot come before the verb ever. The fa'il cannot precede the verb. Never ever. Okay? All right. Let's move on. You'll write down this rule and it's going to come up later. لا يجوز الفصل يعني ضمير الفصل مع إمكان الوصل أي ضمير المتصل. Do you understand that rule? لا يجوز الفصل مع إمكان الوصل. I don't know what happened. It just got totally disarrayed. But hey, I'm going to erase it now. لا يجوز الفصل مع إمكان الوصل. Okay. Okay, let's read. يا ميمونة هل رأيتي خديجة في المسجد? What are you going to say? نعم أنا رأيتها في المسجد. نعم رأيتها. نعم أنا رأيتها. So you have two pronouns. One is the fa'il, the other one is the maf'ulun bi. هل كتبت رحمة الرسالة؟ هل كتبت رحمة الرسالة؟ نعم هي كتبتها. نعم هي كتبتها. Where's the file? That ta. The ta is sakin. You call it ta at-ta'nith as-sakina. Ta at-ta'nith as-sakina. Sakina means there's a sukoon on it. That's what you call it. Ta at-ta'nith as-sakina. Want me to write that down? You call that ta. You call that ta at-ta'nith as-sakina. Meaning there's a sukoon on it. You understand that? Ta at-ta'nith as-sakina. Akalat, jalasat, and it's the fa'il. Jalasat, akalat, dhahabat, takallamat, safarat, jahazat, tabakhat. What do you call that ta? Ta at-ta'nith as-sakina. Ta'nith means it's mu'annath. Ta'nith means it's making it mu'annath. Y'all are with me? Everything is clear? Okay, and it's the fa'il. It's the fa'il. And I remember it's the fa'il. طيب. هل لبس الأولاد الأقمصة الجديدة؟ What are you going to say? هل لبس الأولاد الأقمصة الجديدة? والأقمصة is the plural for قميص. You're going to say نعم هم لبسوها أو لبسوهن. Right? We can say لبسوها or we can say لبسوهن. Everything is clear? I don't know if this is easy for you all, but I want to take my time and make sure everything is right. Okay. يا بني هل أنت فتحت هذه النافذة؟ Hold on a second. So this question here, you could just say هل فتحت هذه النافذة. When you say هل أنت فتحت, in it is emphasis, as if it's as if you're saying, are you the one who opened it? Are you the one to open? When you say هل أنت فتحت, it's sufficient to say هل فتحت. It's sufficient, but when you say هل أنت فتحت, that's like it's going to give a emphasis. Okay. So what's the answer? نعم أنا فتحتها. نعم أنا فتحتها. هل سألوا أهل العلم؟ هل سألوا أهل العلم? Did they ask the people of knowledge? نعم هم سألوهم. So the wow is the fa'il and hum is the maf'ulun bi. Are you all with me? نعم هم سألوهم. سألوهم. The wow is the fa'il. The wow is the fa'il. And hum is the maf'ulun bi, the ones who got asked. The wow is the asker, the sa'ilun, and hum is the one being asked, the mas'ul. How we doing? Okay, look at this one here. هل أكلنا الطعام, meaning the women, did they eat the food? What are you going to say? نعم هن أكلنه. نعم هن أكلنه. هل سألت أباكِ? Like, did you ask your father? I mean, you're talking to a woman. هل سألت أباك? Number 5. Number 5. Does the aleph? No. Remain. Writing. No. The aleph gets dropped if you attach anything to it. Good question. Good question. The aleph gets dropped. Okay. Please, right. Okay. Okay. Good question. I'm at your service. Na'am. Na'am. Hum sa'aluhum. Na'am. Hum sa'aluhum. How we doing? Everything's clear? You're talking about number 5, right? Hum sa'aluhum. Okay. So, هل سألت أباك؟ نعم أنا سألته. نعم أنا سألته. نعم أنا سألته. هل ركبنا على الحافلة الكبيرة؟ هل ركبنا على الحافلة الكبيرة؟ نعم نحن ركبنا عليها. نعم نحن ركبنا عليها. How we doing? This one is clear? نعم نحن ركبنا عليها. Okay, I want you to translate. Translate this for me before we answer. هل راجعت الأجزاء الثلاثة الأخيرة من القرآن؟ هل راجعت الأجزاء الثلاثة الأخيرة من القرآن؟ Did you revise the last 3 parts of the Quran? Yes. Yes. Raja'a means to review. Raja'a means to review. Y'all have a lot, Rory. Y'all picked up a good amount of vocabulary without studying vocabulary words, but by going through practical sentences. Isn't that true? Not by concentrating on vocabulary words, but with practical use. And this is how we study. All right? This is how we study. This is how we study. Okay. فتقول نعم أنا راجعتها. نعم أنا راجعتها. راجعتها. نعم أنا راجعتها. أنا راجعتها. Okay, we're going to proceed. This lesson here is very important. This here is very important. Number 8, I wrote down نحن ركبناها. لا. You need ala. No, but you can say ركبنا الحافلة. But the sentence has a ala. That's a complete sentence. That's a correct sentence. ركبناها. Now, we wrote it. That's a complete sentence. But rakiba, they use the ala for it. Sometimes. Rakiba alayha. But it's no problem. There's no problem. Okay, barakallahu fikum. Look at on page 138. Barakallahu fikum. If you start a sentence with a verb, you have to use the verb in singular. But if you start a sentence with a noun, then you're going to use it appropriately. If it's singular, if it's dual, or if it's plural. Again, if you start a sentence with a verb, that verb has to be singular if you mention the noun. If you mention the noun. But if you start the sentence with the noun, then it's going to be appropriate, whether you're using singular or dual or plural. Let's look at the first sentence. Al-atibba dhahabu ila al-mustashfayat. The doctors went to the hospitals. You started that sentence with something plural. You started that sentence with something plural. And that's why you said dhahabu. But if you started this particular sentence with the verb, okay? If you start a sentence with a verb, then you would say, look at the next sentence, ذهب الأطباء إلى المستشفيات. You will not say ذهبوا الأطباء. No. Do you understand that? Let me ask you a question now. Why isn't that we can't say ذهبوا الأطباء? Why can't we say ذهبوا الأطباء? Because it's going to be two files. The wow is file. ذهبوا, that's the file. And atiba'u is the file. Okay. But if we said al-atiba'u dhahabu, atiba'u is what you call mubtada. Mubtada. So this is the way. Okay. Let's look at another sentence. Ali wa Yaqub nama fil masjid. So when you mention a dual, when you mention the noun in this dual, then you use the pronoun after it accordingly. But if you put it the other way, you're going to say Nama Aliyun wa Yaqub fil masjidi. If you start the sentence with the verb, you're going to use it in the singular. That's if what? If you're going to mention the fa'il after it. Why do I say that? Okay, because it's permissible to say, look at the first sentence. It's permissible to say Dhahabu ila mustashfayat. Dhahabu ila mustashfayat. I mean, if you're going to mention a noun as I'm sorry. If you're going to mention the fa'il as a noun, not a pronoun. If you're going to mention the fa'il as a noun, not a pronoun, then the verb has to be singular. Again, if you're going to mention the fa'il as a noun, not a pronoun, then the verb at the beginning of the sentence must be singular. Does that make sense? If you're going to mention the noun as a fa'il, you're going to mention a noun, atibba, Ali wa Yaqub. If you're going to mention a noun, if you're going to mention the fa'il as a noun, then the verb has to be singular. You say, An-nisa tabakhna ta'am al-ghada. An-nisa tabakhna ta'am al-ghada. But then you say, Tabaqat an-nisa ta'am al-ghada. Tabaqat an-nisa. An-nisa is the fa'il, and it's a noun. So if you're going to mention the noun as, if you're going to mention the fa'il as a noun, the fa'il is a noun, then the verb has to be singular. Do we see that in these examples? Do we see that in these examples? Let's look at another one. Ar-rijal mashaw ila al-maqbara. The men walk to the mashaw. Where's the fa'il? Ar-rijal mashaw. The waw is the fa'il. But if we said masha ar-rijal ila al-maqbara, the rijal is the fa'il. If you're going to mention a fa'il as a noun, not a pronoun, then the verb has to be singular. Masha. Do we understand that? Let's look at the next one. And Muslim, how would the sentence be with a pronoun? It would be look at the ones all on the right. Abtibba dhahabu ila mustashfa. You could say dhahabu ila mustashfayat. That's a sentence. Dhahabu. How would the sentence be with the pronoun? Dhahabu. The wow is the fa'il. Nama fil masjid. The alif is the fa'il. Nama fil mustashfa. Fil masjid. The alif is the fa'il. Tabakhna ta'am al-ghada. That noon, tabakhna, is the fa'il. Mashaw, that wow, is the fa'il. Meaning, what I mean to say, look at the sentence on the right side. If we just took off the beginning of the sentence, we just took off the noun, we said, Dhahabu ila al-mustashfa. They went to the hospital. We're mentioning the fa'il as a pronoun. Dhahabu ila al-mustashfayat. That's how it would be. The fa'il is that wow. We're looking at the sentence on the right. If we took off the noun, we took off atibba, we would be left with dhahabu ila al-mustashfayat. The wow would be the fa'il. Nama fil masjid. Both of them slept in the masjid. Both of them, there's no name. Nama fil masjidi. The alif is the fa'il. Tabakhna ta'am al-ghada. The noon is the fa'il. Tabakhna. The noon is the fa'il for women. Mashaw ila al-maqbara. They walk to the graveyard. The wow is the fa'il. How are we doing? How are we doing? All right. Al-Muslimun ra'aw al-hilal al-layla. The Muslims, they saw the hilal tonight. The hilal is the new moon. رأى المسلمون الهلال الليلة. This is just to helping you in speaking correctly. Need some time to go over concepts, inshallah. Inshallah. It's right here. Let's see if there any exercises connected to this. Inshallah, there it is. Okay, look what we have here. MashaAllah, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Got 11 sentences here for you. Okay. So look at this one here. Look at this one here. It says, Ahmed with Jibril la'iba ma'al jiran. Look how you change it. La'iba Ahmed with Jibril ma'al jiran. Ahmed with Jibril, these are two people. It's dual. It's dual. Okay? So when you start the sentence with the dual, you have to make the verb congruent. You have to say la'iba. When you start the sentence with a dual, Ahmed and Jibril, then you have to say la'iba. But if you start the sentence with the verb and you're going to mention a fa'al, you're going to mention Ahmed and Jibril, then that verb has to be singular. La'iba Ahmed with Jibril ma'a jiran. Jiran is the neighbors. Okay, I'm going to leave this for you all to do for homework. And make sure you all understand it. Then we're going to come back and do it together. Let's do this first one. An-nisa jahazna al-ghurfa lid-duyuf. The woman prepared the room for the guests. Nisa is plural, so we say jahazna. Jahazna. That noon is the fa'il. That noon is the fa'il. It's congruent because it's plural. It's a group of women, nisa. So we would say jahazna, like hunna, jahazna. But if we started the sentence with a verb, we're going to say jahazat an-nisa'u al-ghurfa lid-duyuf. Jahazat. Jahaza means to prepare. Jahaza means to prepare. Jahazat an-nisa al-ghurfa lid-duyuf. How we doing? Let's do the next one. Let's do the next one. Al-awlad hafidhu surat al-sajda. Okay, al-awlad is plural. So when we come with a verb after something plural, we have to say hafidhu. Has to be equivalent, have to be congruent to it. Are you with me? You have to say hafidhu. Okay? But now if you want to start a sentence with a verb and you want to mention awlad, you want to mention a fa'il as a noun, awlad, you would say hafidha al-awlad, surah al-sajda. You have to use that verb in the singular form if you're going to mention the fa'il as a noun. Okay? So one on the right, we're right. On the right, we're mentioning the fa'il as a pronoun, yes. And on the left-hand side, we're mentioning them as a noun. When you say them, what do you mean them? So on the right hand, the one on the right, we're mentioning the fa'il, right? You mentioned the fa'il as a pronoun, yes. And the one on the left, yep, the fa'il on the left-hand side, the fa'il is a noun. On the right-hand side, the fa'il is a pronoun. Yes. 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 I know somebody's probably somebody's probably saying, like, the way the Sheikh explains it, he go all around the corner instead of just going right down the block, right? The Sheikh go all the way around the corner. He could just say, that's how I felt with my teachers. Like, that, why don't he just say such and such? You know, I'm sitting back. Now it's my turn, and, you know, I'm in the same boat. You know, I threw my teachers under the bus. I'd be like, why? Dad, why he going all the way around the corner? But when it comes time to explain it, you know, but that's it. All right. This is where we're going to stop. Let's look where we're going. Let's look where we're going. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and we got 2 more days. We got this. After this, this is our first lesson in Ilm Sarf. This is our first lesson Right. This is our first lesson about ilm sarf. This book is a book of sarf, conjugation. This is the first actual lesson about that knowledge. And this is really going to give you a great appreciation of Arabic. First, we study the topic. Start now when we go study the technical terms of it. You already been through it. You're going to understand it. And this is going to concise the matter for you. Okay? This is where we're going to stop. Tomorrow is our first lesson where we're actually going into this topic of sarf. It's called ilm sarf, etymology. It's no reason to use the English term, but this is the topic of this book. Book 1 and book 2 and book 3, may Allah aid us in getting book 3 out. But it's a book of sarf. And I really feel that sarf is very important. You're going to understand what it is. But sarf is conjugating verbs and nouns. Book 2 is about conjugating the nouns. Now we're looking at conjugating the verbs. Now the past tense, the future tense, and the command verb. And it's about conjugating. And the same thing with nouns. Nouns get conjugated and it changes their meaning. Like from the fa'il to the maf'ul, things of that nature. Okay, so tomorrow is our first actual lesson to understand what sarf is. This is a book of sarf. May Allah make it easy. This is where our lesson is going to stop today. Subhanak Allahumma bihamdik ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.